Miriam Cates.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. Levelling up is the core mission of this government, and it was certainly a mission that resonated with voters in my constituency of Penistone and Stocksbridge in 2019. Communities like those in Barnsley and Sheffield have been left behind for far too long. There really is a north-south divide, and for far too long some of our communities have been completely forgotten about. But what do we need to do to level up? Well, we need to improve our social fabric, we need to improve opportunities, we need to improve education, provide more skilled jobs and improve our infrastructure. And this Conservative government is tackling all of those issues. We're preparing people for well-paid jobs through the Skills Bill. We're improving public transport through things like the Levelling Up Fund. For example, my bid to improve the Penistone line, the Restoring Your Railways project, my bid to restore the Stocksbridge line. We're making places that we can be proud of through the Towns Fund, through the Community Ownership Fund. And we also need good quality, affordable housing. Because good housing is the foundation of well-being and prosperity. In fact, bad housing is the cause of poor health and poverty. So many families in our country and in my constituency can't afford to buy a decent home to raise their children. And the impacts of this are wide-ranging. Poverty, overcrowding, forcing parents to work longer hours than they want to. Young couples are delaying having children or not having children at all. Now, despite its considerable mass, this Levelling Up and Regeneration Bill in itself won't solve the problem overnight, but it does lay the foundations for repairing our broken housing system. One of the biggest barriers that we face in building new houses is the number of objections that appear to planning applications, both from local residents and local authorities, often because it's inappropriate housing or the infrastructure has not been thought through properly. For example, the Wellhouse Lane development in my constituency, which I know the Honourable Member for Barnsley Central is aware of. Interesting housing development, not enough infrastructure in the right time. Or we get greenfield sites being picked off by developers like Holland Busk near Stocksbridge when brownfield sites are available. So this bill will enable local plans to take precedent, local people to take precedent, and it should lead to more of the right type of housing being built, and therefore fewer objections and more of those developments actually making it to the point of delivery. Neighbourhood planning absolutely needs to be simplified. I tried it as a parish councillor. We got stuck, too bureaucratic, too difficult when there isn't enough volunteer time, which of course is a particular problem in areas that need levelling up. Many areas of my constituency have been successful in doing this. Oxspring, Penistone, Silkstone are in development, but for many areas it's just too complicated. So the reforms to make it more simple about having just a statement of priorities and wishes is a really, really good development. The infrastructure levy is a fantastic way to ensure that development gives back to communities, that infrastructure is built in a timely way. I would ask the Minister to look into the way that schools receive some of that funding. It often doesn't work. The schools don't receive it until far larger number of children that is actually going to be affected come in, and also the formula that are used to calculate the number of children coming into an area don't make sense in some areas which are very, very attractive for families to move to. So I do welcome this bill. It will improve the landscape and lay the foundations to fix our housing problems. But we do need to go further. We need to build more social housing. We need to stop developers hanging on to land for their benefit. But we also need to look at some of the causes of housing demand, particularly family breakdown. Over the last 2 decades, the number of people living alone in the UK has risen by 20%, and the number of 45 to 64-year-olds living alone has increased by 53%. It's often middle-aged men who are moving out of their family home and then requiring another family home for their children to come and stay. All sorts of problems associated with family breakdown, but it's also causing demand on housing. So I do welcome this bill. It lays some great foundations, but we need to look at the cause of some of the demand for home ownership, including family breakdown.